Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of New to Weeaboo. This is number 144 for March 19th, 2025. I am Nemesis, and I'm joined by Alcatraz.
Hello.
News-wise, really not a whole lot that I saw personally, but I know there's some sort of, I think another leak happened with, hey, look, this Yuri anime is going to be coming. It's like, cool. Can't wait for that. But another more leaks that hasn't been officially confirmed, but yeah.
Man, they really need to fix those pipes.
Yeah, but yeah, lots of Yuri stuff. There's one coming out in October I'm really looking forward to. Because I've been reading the manga, and I'm like, yeah, let's go. But anyway, fortunately we're not here to talk about Yuri.
Unfortunately, yeah.
We're here to talk about Shonen, yep, the My Hero Academia Season 5. We're still going on this.
Yeah, we got to get through this.
But we're getting close to the end, as the actual season actually showing us at this point.
Yeah.
So yeah, Season 5 as a whole, this is probably the weakest season that I think in the entirety so far of the ones we've watched. Personally, that's my thing. Particularly, I find the first half kind of just drags on.
It does drag on a bit.
That's the big thing right there is the first half kind of drags on, and then there's the second half is kind of a There's a lot there to talk about, to unpack on the second half.
Yeah,
because particularly one particular storyline, I think, and how that is handled is messy.
Messy?
Yeah, messy.
That's a good way to describe a lot of what's been going on. It's just like messy.
Yeah, so initially the first part of the season kind of deals a little bit with like the last bit of season 4, if you remember, with Hawks and them, but it kind of then veers away real quick to the big old competition between Class 1A and Class 1B. They had the whole competition where basically, what was it? Teams of 4 going up against each other, and there's 20 members of each class, except there's also each round will also have, there's a couple rounds which will have one extra person on each team because, the Shinso, if you remember from season 2, the brainwashing guy.
Yep.
He's going to be there, and it's pretty clearly it's a test to see whether or not he gets to transfer into the hero course.
Yep.
Beyond that, it's actually not a whole lot to talk about. It's just the two classes more or less fighting each other. I think the weirdest part that stands out for me is like them trying to build up 1B as being more of a...
They're trying to make him more important than they actually are.
Make him more important. Also, that's the whole trying to make them actually feel like more of competition. Which doesn't consider the whole thing is like, why? It's like, because while you've been thrown into real world things where you actually have to use your powers in ways that actually where life or death situations, they've been studying. Okay.
I guess it's not the greatest execution on reasoning. I think I know what they're trying to get at there. They've been actually be able to study the truth theory instead of fighting for their lives the whole time. They can actually practice new and different ways and whatnot. So I mean, yeah, I get it.
Experience is the best teacher.
Yeah, it can be. It definitely can.
Regardless, it's a set of 5 rounds, and 1A wins at the end.
Yeah, and there's the most important part happens at the very, 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 very end.
And it's mostly like there's some cool things, but the problem is you're trying to showcase 40 different characters, actually 41 different characters.
Yeah. Over
the course of 12-ish or so episodes, and the problem is it kind of drags on.
Yeah, it does. It drags on. There's some cool scenes, it looks really cool, but story-wise, it doesn't really go anywhere until they introduce stuff at the end.
Yeah, I mean, the coolest bits were, should we get to see Shinso, get to transfer in the hero course case succeeds, and we see how his they add to now he's got a mask thing which lets him like mimic people's voices, which is pretty cool.
He's also got Aizawa's capture tape.
Yeah, he trained with Aizawa, which is this is pretty much the reason why, part of the reason why people practically see Shinso as Aizawa's child.
I can see that. It definitely is. It's like, yep, he's adopted you.
Yeah, because there's a cool thing. I remember there's some parts of this that are actually weirdly weirdly smooth animations. Like, where did that come from?
Where'd that come from?
I think the most interesting parts, personally, were actually the Bakugo round. The round of Bakugo, and it actually was really interesting because, again,
it's showing some more depth on Bakugo.
Yeah, because that's the thing. We see 1B assumed he'd basically just abandon the rest of his team and go off on his own, and no, he has his
acts
whole
like that.
Because his whole thing is like, when you get in trouble, I'll save you, and when I get in trouble, you guys save me.
Yeah.
Right?
He hates taking. Yeah,
he's still kind of looking down on the rest of his team, but
he is. But it shows that he is brash, he is impulsive, but he's not stupid.
Yeah, because he knows if he got into a 4-on-1 fight, a very high chance of losing.
Yeah,
particularly since one of the characters on 1B, it's Setsuna. Was one of the recommended kids, so it's interesting because we both teams kind of have this whole like there's one central person on each team and everyone else plays support to them.
Sort of, yeah.
Setsuna on 1B and Bakugo on 1A.
Yep.
And they were banking on Bakugo just being hot-headed, and that did not work in their favor.
Yeah, he was hot-headed, but they don't realize he's not an idiot.
Because Setsuna's got that whole splitting apart thing. They say lizard tails, like,
yeah,
it's a little more.
It's a little more than that.
She got lizardy stuff going on.
Yeah, it's a bit more than that.
Because like Jiro was on the team, and like her quirk, she was basically messing with Jiro because Jiro can't identify what's going on because there's just too much noise.
Yep. Which
is clever, but yeah, it's just because that's the thing. It's like 1A seems to be kind of like completely oblivious to anyone in 1B versus 1B. Everyone knows a lot about 1A, which kind of put them on the back foot. But then 1A won because the other thing was when we get to Izuku's round, which is the final one, Shinso was on the other team and everything, so it was 5 versus 4. But also Izuku's quirk went off because that was the other big thing was he's now in contact with the previous holders of One for All, or at least some of them.
I think I mentioned that last time, the Avatar state.
Yeah. And now he's got a new quirk.
He's got a new quirk.
Black Whip, which went out of control initially.
Yep. It's kind of something I was wondering from almost day one when they were talking about All for One. They talk about this powers transferred and cultivated. And I was like, I was always wondering, it's like, what if you gave the power to someone with a quirk? Would it pick that quirk up and transfer it?
Yes.
And here's our confirmation. Yes.
So yeah, he's now got Black Whip. And initially it goes out of control, but he's able to, thanks to actually Shinso actually helps out in this. And Shinso brainwashes him, and then Ochigo slaps him.
Yeah, because they turned out, yes, a shock will wake you from the
had to brainwash him and stop. And then Ochigo slapped him to get him out of the brainwashing.
And then everything went back to their fight.
Yeah, and then he used it again, but then he's like, "Oh, I can't use it." And he has this whole thing mentally, this mental block here. I can't really use it very well. So he goes, "There's a lead."
Yeah, he had that little thing. Yeah.
The other bit was I guess they had a little bit of training about interviews or something, and
and then that,
and Izuku just big super robotic because
yep, he's super shy and doesn't deal with interviews well.
Yeah, and that was pretty much the only real big thing was Izuku's got a new quirk thing going on now.
And the interview with Todoroki and Bakugo was hilarious. And they just cut all of Bakugo's out because, unusable.
That's the Christmas thing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, they had the Christmas party. Was that this season? Yeah, it was Christmas party this season.
Yep.
Which was kind of neat. But that was kind of a one-off thing. I got a little airy, just not quite understanding how holidays works. Just kind of, no, that's Easter. No, that's Halloween. Oh, I can't. Oh, you're too cute.
Yeah, airy, yeah. She's missed all of them. You gotta just let her celebrate all of them.
Don't worry about it.
She deserves it.
The other thing we saw, they have some of them have adjusted costumes because now it's cold.
It's cold. We can't show as much skin because
that's cold. Covered up, and he's like, it takes me longer to warm up in the winter. And of course, and then Creati, what does she do? She just puts a cape on. Yay. Yeah, and that's the other thing I've noticed. Something we haven't really brought up, really at all, too much at all, which is the actual superhero costume designs in this. A lot of them are kind of weak. I'm gonna be honest. A lot of them feel like Ojiro, like the tail guy.
He's just wearing a gi.
It's a slightly modified gi.
Yeah, it's just a gi.
And I'll be honest, Izuku's is actually kind of bad too.
Midoriya, Deku's, that's because he drew it as a kid.
His mom made it for him, but I feel like
it's adapted and it's got better than the first iteration was.
Remember,
just.
It's still, the thing is, he doesn't wear the hood anymore.
Yeah,
or the mask thing. He just wears they're still there, but he doesn't wear them. And I'm wondering, it almost feels like the author of the manga was like, I made a mistake. This was not a good idea to make my main character look like this.
Yeah.
Ochigo got her outfit partway through the season got changed a little bit. They changed the helmet and they added the big wrist gauntlets, which have the
and now she has grappling hooks now.
Grappling hook.
Yep.
Yeah, they changed. Yeah, she no longer has the visor. They ditched that, which actually generally does look better, I feel.
Mm-hmm.
But like a lot of them, like Shoto feels like a rejected MCU design, or like the early 2000s like X-Men, where we can't have bright, colorful costumes. We gotta have black and gray.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like, a rejected like that. It kind of looks very utilitarian, which works with his personality, but it's like it's not a superhero outfit.
Not superhero. Yeah, but it is Todoroki.
Like, I think the most superhero-y of all of them is actually All Might's outfits have been the most very much traditionally superhero.
Yeah, I mean it kind of is. Yeah, I mean you think about All Might, and how very Western. I mean the whole thing is somewhat Western inspired, but especially All Might.
I would say Bakugo's outfit actually screams very early 90s Liefeld, and this is like, it works. That's actually very much, the whole 90s edge thing that works with Bakugo makes sense. So that's very superhero.
Found out those weird little things he's got on the back of his head are solid and very sharp.
Yep.
And because Deku got stabbed with one.
But then you got like Mina, who like, she just looks like someone who has a bad fashion taste who was going to the gym.
Yeah, she's just wearing a leotard.
And Jiro looks great, but she just looks like a girl you see at the punk rock show. He looks great, but that's not a super outfit.
Yeah.
That's kind of where we're at. And then, of course, we haven't I think I brought it up and then never really finished the thought, because Toru, the Invisible Girl, this was the thing, is it's winter now. She's still wearing just gloves and shoes. And he's like, are you cold? Oh, I am freezing.
Yeah.
And it's like, what's really frustrating about her is they've already done some of the pseudoscience stuff with Mirio and Lemillion, because his clerk doesn't work with clothes, so they made clothes,
brought it up.
They made clothes out of his
hair, so they could totally do it with her.
They've already done pseudoscience. Just the Incredibles, like it just works with her quirk.
Yeah, they totally could, but no, they didn't. She has to be naked.
Yep,
for reasons.
Got to be weird about it. And just a lot of this, I feel like a lot of them are just either really basic or plain or just,
like, you're never going to have a super interesting looking outfit for Invisible Girl.
Well, I'm talking about Invisible.
But she just needs to have something there that we need to know that there's something there, just because otherwise it's creepy and weird.
Yeah, the thing is, a lot of them feel like they're just kind of like somewhat modified normal clothes.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I was
thinking the annoying dude from Class 1B.
Oh yeah, Nito. No,
his outfit, he doesn't have a super. It's just a suit and tie. That makes it's like, I don't know.
Actually, I would say Ochako and Sue both actually have very superhero-y outfits.
Yeah, I do like Ochiko's outfit. That's a really, really good one.
Mm-hmm. But like a lot of them just like, it's all over the place, man. Ida's weird because like Ida. It's like, I mean, kind of. It's like Iron Man. It's like Iron Man, but like with a more Japanese twist.
Yeah, it feels like someone took Iron Man and crossed it with Medieval Knight and Gundam.
Yeah, it works, but it's kind of one of the more out there superhero outfits.
Oh yeah, it's like that's got to be a pain to get in and out of.
Yeah,
like what do you do when you have to pee?
Especially threading those exhaust pipes through the leg.
Oh jeez. I don't know, maybe they just use that superhero science stuff to make it just auto-deploy or something. Nano machines.
Yeah, but the other thing was, I believe in this, actually that was second. I think that might have been second half of the season.
They introduced a new character, probably the creepiest one yet. Mushroom Girl.
Oh, the Mushroom Girl? She's not that creepy.
Oh my god, that's terrifying. Nope. Don't like that. Do not like that.
Yeah. You also got to see Pony again.
Pony.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the other thing is that, like, there's some interesting bits. Like, I think the bit with Momo and what's her face? Oh, Itsuka from Class 1B, the one who has to keep karate chopping.
Yeah, Momo's.
Their fight was actually really interesting, and they had the whole thing that at the end she's like, I won, but I didn't feel like I won because Momo tied herself up to her to slow her down with the cannon and everything.
Yep. She made the cannon again.
And it almost worked, but then she's just really stubborn, just dragged it all with her.
Yep.
But still, So yeah, that's the thing is the battles like I won A1 eventually, but yeah, it's just like beyond that, it's like okay, yeah, Midoriya got a new power. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
that's the most important thing out of the first.
There's
half.
one other lore some important thing that happened that they put on the table, I guess. Whether it's going to come up later, but annoying dude, I can't remember his name, and I don't want to remember his name because I hate him. The annoying blonde dude from 1B that I mentioned earlier. Yeah. What's his name?
Monoma.
Yeah. His quirk and how it relates to others.
Oh, yeah. His copy.
And he copied Deku's quirk.
Yeah, exactly.
And it did nothing. And it revealed some aspects. He called it, it's a blank. And it turns out, so there's this idea of build-up quirks and such like that. And this is one of them. But then he went to go use it on Eri. They had him use it on Eri.
Didn't work on Eri.
And it also didn't work. So it revealed something about Eri's quirk.
Yep.
So that was a lore thing that has been put up on the table. That's also potentially important.
Yeah, so the second half of the season was what I think is interesting because they introduced in the Christmas episode, like Shoto asked Bakugo and Izuku, do you want to do the work study under my dad?
Yep.
And they get into the Todoroki family.
Oh boy.
And this is weird because like I can see this is trying really hard to do it right. It's not perfect, but I feel like they kind of got some parts right.
Yeah. As I remember, you and I were talking last episode.
Or last season, we were frustrated about
in our last episode, we were frustrated because they hadn't done anything. And it was like, you've got to do something. And
they're doing something.
It looks like they're doing something. Whether they've done it right is yet to be determined, but they are definitely making an effort, which is much better than they could have done.
Part of the work study is not just about the Todoroki family, because also Hawks gets in contact with Endeavor and he warns him about something's coming.
Yeah.
They're building an army in secret, and because we also see Hawks has infiltrated the League of Villains.
He's playing a double agent, so yeah,
he's infiltrated that, and he's found out, they are amassing an army, and they're going to basically start a war.
Yep.
And he's warning. He warned Endeavor in code, and so that's a big thing right there. But Endeavor, it's clear he's trying to. Things are weird with him. That's probably the thing. Things are weird with his family. Mm-hmm. It's pretty clear. Endeavor, he says it himself. He wants to atone.
Yep.
He's not looking
for forgiveness. Yeah. I want to atone.
He knows that the forgiveness is probably not going to happen, at least for some of them. But he wants to atone for what he's done. He knows it's a full acknowledgement. He has done horrible things.
Mm-hmm.
He knows this, and he wants to do better.
Yep.
And we see that. The interesting thing, because we see the three Todoroki siblings, or three surviving Todoroki siblings.
Yeah, that's one thing that was brought up.
Natsuo, Fumiyumi, the daughter, and of course Shoto. They all have very different thoughts about, the abuse they suffered at their dad's hand.
Mm-hmm.
And, there's also their mom.
And then there's the mom who's...
Yeah. Still pretty much seems to be largely in agreement with Fuyumi, though. But yeah, Fuyumi, basically, we see Fuyumi wants them to be a real family again.
Yeah.
That's what she wants. That's her biggest thing. And she's trying to get Natsuo and Shoto to cooperate with it. But we see with Natsuo in particular, Natsuo he does not want to do this. He does not want to forgive his dad. He doesn't want to be around his dad. He just wants him out of his life, essentially. And his dad is accepting of that, which...
Honestly,
good on him.
Good on him.
Good on him, and understands that forgiveness is not something you deserve just because you feel bad.
Yeah.
A lot of people have a hard time with that because
But I said sorry. Why can't we just shove this under the rug? I already said sorry.
Yeah.
It don't work that way, buddy.
And this complicated thing is we see three different people who all have very valid feelings about how the abuse affected them.
Mm-hmm.
In Fuyumi's mind, her biggest priority is, I want my family to be whole and together again. And the problem is she's steamrolling the other siblings' feelings in an attempt to get what she wants.
Yep.
But again, her desire to have a whole family is not invalid. And
no, it's
that's
not.
why this is all really complicated.
Yeah. Nuance on the internet.
Yeah, Fuyumi. Yeah, Fuyumi. It's like Fuyumi's feelings. Like and that's the other thing. We don't know the degree of abuse they all received.
Right.
Because when there's a family of siblings where there's abuse, sometimes some siblings will get less or even no abuse compared to other siblings, depending, and there's a whole sorts of things. Like Fuyumi, because of things possibly due to benevolent sexism, may have gotten minimal abuse.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's also the same kind of abuse will affect different people differently.
Or it might have been a very different kind of abuse entirely. It might have been more like verbal instead of physical.
Yeah, more emotional, verbal, mental abuse. Or maybe just neglect.
Yeah, with Netsuo, I feel like Netsuo particularly got the kind of neglectful abuse. In particular, Shoto got
his
physical
complaints.
abuse.
Yeah, Shoto got lots of physical abuse, as we have seen.
Yeah,
because that was Endeavor trying to like, you're the chosen one. You're the one that's gonna, so I'm going to train you, and doesn't give a rip about the other two.
Yeah, he seems to be neglecting the other two siblings. But we also see Natsuo blames. We find out there's a fourth sibling, Toya, who is dead, and Natsuo in particular blames Endeavor for his death.
And then later, Endeavor kind of accepts that blame.
Acknowledges that that he has or had a role in it and things.
We don't know what happened.
We don't know. They haven't explained what happened yet. But apparently, whatever happened, they had an older sibling who's now dead.
Yep.
That's the thing. Natsuo but the thing is, we also see Shoto's feelings. Shoto's kind of in this process where he's kind of feeling it out and waiting to see. It's told point blank to us. He wants to forgive his dad.
Mm-hmm.
He's at that point where he's just basically just seeing, and he's getting to a point where he's going to be willing to forgive his dad eventually, but he's not quite there yet. Versus Natsuo is just
he's
not.
Yeah.
So of course that creates an interesting thing where Izuku's talking to Shoto, and if these are words for Shoto and no one else, but Natsuo overhears them and will kind of internalize them because Izuku says Shoto's a kind person, which is why he wants to forgive his dad, and Natsuo not wanting to forgive him kind of.
Oh, that means I'm not a kind person.
Yeah, he kind of takes it badly because it's like, this is the sort of problems abuse can create. Is just abuse victims can then kind of sometimes turn on each other and propagate their trauma onto each other, and you see that sometimes. Victims of traumatic things can sometimes accidentally traumatize the other because of how their abuse
affected them.
Yeah,
for various different reasons. It can be, they just give other people the same abuse that they got. Mm-hmm. That's how you get some generational trauma. Or they can flip it completely backwards and abuse in the other direction in their vain attempt to not do the same thing and do something completely bad. It's a thing.
Or in some cases, just like things that set someone off can then set someone else off because their behavior. It's like it's not even as an abuse thing particularly. It's just, again, we see Fuyumi. Her response is, "I want my family back."
And that's not a bad thing to want.
Yeah, but that is upsetting Natsuo in particular. He is really not handling that well.
Yeah, because he still has really sore wounds from the abuse, and this is pouring salt into them, which is also completely valid.
Yeah, because that's the thing. We see Fuyumi's not wrong to want her family, but she's kind of in the wrong for trying to force her family to go along with it.
Yep.
Because her mind is like, well, see, everything, he's sorry, so everything's fine now.
Yeah.
But it's not fine.
Yep. But it's also just like, if you want the option for someone to atone, you have to open the door for them to atone. You have to make that option available to them.
Yeah.
But do you?
Yeah. And the other thing is, like, there's a villain that escapes, who apparently Endeavor had a run-in with before, and he wants Endeavor to kill him. He wants to force Endeavor to kill him.
Yeah, he's kind of not entirely all there, right in the brain.
And the thing is, he also takes Natsuo hostage.
Yep.
And Endeavor eventually, thanks to Endeavor and Bakugo, Izuku, and Shoto, they save him. But Endeavor hugs him and everything, making sure he's all right. And of course, there's still kind of a bit of yelling match there, but it's kind of a weird place because it's like Endeavor's more or less reiterates that I don't expect your forgiveness. I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I'm still going to atone for what I did. And Also, there's nothing. Endeavor kind of, his whole internal monologue thing where he's like, he keeps having a dream where he sees his family happy around the table, eating and happy and everything. But the big thing there, he's not there.
Yep.
And he takes it as a sign to basically remove himself from the family, in a sense that he's going to live by himself and he's going to get another place for his family to live.
Yep.
Without him. Which, is that the best solution? I don't know. But
at least he's making an attempt.
He's making an attempt to try to at least fix things in ways like he understands that it might just be best for him to not be around them.
Yeah.
He kind of understands that, but whether or not that's true or not, that's kind of, there is no real
that's a
blanket answer here.
There is no right answer, but I think in his case, he is trying to make a decision. I think, at least in his mind, that is what's best for his family and not him.
Yeah.
Which is the correct mindset.
Because it's clear he wants to be there, but he also knows that it's going to become pretty clear to him that it's probably not the best for him to be there, maybe?
Yeah. At least not at the moment.
And so, of course, I'd see some people would probably interpret that as some sort of he's running away from his problem, which... possibly not wrong either, but
possibly not wrong, but also like,
and this is what I mean by it's messy. So is it handle it super great? It's does
handling it, and it's doing it better than it could have.
Yeah, I was actually genuinely shocked.
I was too.
This was I think a generally was a perfect no, but it's a generally I think fairly well done bit, which kind of. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, well, especially when we're going into this expecting a really classic, I said I'm sorry and suddenly everyone's happy with me.
Yeah.
Which
I was expecting
is what happens a lot in shows like this.
And I was expecting that because of how the fandom reacts about Endeavor.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know if this is going to go any further. I have a feeling it might not because we are getting close toward, the end. And
we are running out
in the
of
season. We kind of have the clear, this is set up for the end. Actually, we already have. I mean, the war thing that and Hawks warned Endeavor about.
The war.
That's pretty clear. This is pretty clear. That's like, bright flashing neon sign. We're coming to the end of this story.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we get, after that, one interesting thing was basically the show suddenly becomes My Villain Academia.
Yep.
And depending on how you like villains or not, that may be very grating. I feel a lot of people really do not like this fact that the show went and focused on the villains for about a quarter of the season.
Yeah, it was a fairly, what was that, 5 episodes?
5 or 6 episodes, something like that, yeah.
Yeah, it looks like about 5 episodes. Honestly, I didn't mind it. I thought it was a refreshing change of pace that gave some good backstory and information.
Yeah, I really liked it.
And I think it's probably going to be important for the war because it sets up how this is going to go. And how the League of Villains? The League of Villains has that many people to work with suddenly. The hundreds, some odd thousand or whatnot it was.
Yeah.
Where that actually came from. Turns out they weren't League of Villains. They were someone else.
Meta Liberation Army?
Yep. Yeah, the Meta Liberation Army is another group of bad guys.
Yeah, we find out that their whole thing is everyone should be free to use quirks as they see fit because the society has quirks are pretty regulated.
Yep.
But it's like everyone should be able to use them however they want, whenever they want.
Yep, and the strongest ones should basically rule.
Yep. And we see, so like Shigaraki, he's trying to control Gigantomachia.
Yep, because there's a thing with All for One.
Yeah, All for One and the Doctor, Ujiko.
Dr. Robotnik, but not Robotnik.
Yeah, so like there's a whole thing there. He's trying to control him. This is a long, grueling fight, and it's just not working in the villain's favor. Gigantomachia is just really strong, and they're having a hard time fighting him.
It's huge.
Trying to get him under control, and it's not working. And yeah, he seems to be also really focusing on Shigaraki specifically.
Yep. There's a reason for that.
Yeah, we find another reason, but yeah. So they eventually wind up in contact with the Meta Liberation Army, and they go to that town, and they wind up fighting him. And the Meta Liberation Army, led by Rikiya Yotsubashi.
Ridestro.
Yeah, Ridestro.
Because his dad was Destro. He's doing the same thing.
Yeah. So, they wind up fighting them, and it initially starts going kind of badly for League of Villains. They're getting their butts beat because there's a lot of them.
Yeah, there's an entire town, entire city.
We see more about some of the League. We see a bit about, actually, I think we see also a little bit about Spinner. We saw a bit more about Jin twice. We saw a bit more about him.
Got a lot about twice.
And then we also saw, we actually finally got some bits of Himiko's backstory as well.
Yep.
And also Shigaraki's backstory got a huge amount of attention here.
Yeah, the ending of the arc was focused mainly on Shigaraki.
And what's interesting here, Jin, well, he's always had that fear of like, oh, am I the real one? And it turns out, yes, he is, because he, got his arms broken and he's still there, so he clearly is the real one.
Yep. And that, for a little bit, fixes him.
Yeah, and because that's, it's the thing, it's like every clone he makes is weaker, and when that clone makes another clone, that clone is weaker than that, and so far.
Yep.
So, like, yeah, clones, like the first generation of clones, they, like, you break an arm, and because the whole thing, they can only take so much pain, so you break an arm, one of the clones, it'll just melt.
Melts in his mud.
So the fact he got his arms broken, oh, cool, I guess I get the good news is I know I'm the real one.
Yep. And then they try to kill Himiko.
Because, Himiko's fighting, and she did she had Ochiko's blood with her still, and she used it, and she basically also showing that how quirks can be, not necessarily good or bad. Because what does she do? She, moves fast, touches a whole bunch of them, lifts them all in the air, and then releases
them. It also reveals the fact that she's copying quirks, which was new.
Yeah.
Because it was up to that point, we thought it was just she copied the person's blood, the appearance of the person whose blood she drank. But no, copies a quirk as well. But then she almost dies, and Twice and Himiko are very close.
Yep.
And when they break Twice's arms and he goes, wait, I am the real one.
Yep.
I didn't die. That kind of fixes him, and then he kind of goes nuts with you're killing the person I really like.
On top of that, they're trying to mess with him because there's a guy who basically is like a puppet quirk.
Oh, yeah.
And there's basically like mannequins that look like Twice.
Yep, and that was making him freak out. Like, oh God, why are you here?
Yeah.
But then, once he went, no, I am the real one.
Sad Man Parade.
The Sad Man Parade, yeah, that was a good one. He just made like
a mountain of
millions of clones of him now that he can, and it turned the tide of the battle.
Yeah, that helped it a lot. The other Spinner and Compress didn't really get to do much.
They didn't. Spinner just kind of, he's a lizard.
Yeah, he turned out his quirk is Gecko.
Yeah,
he can do things that Gecko can.
Yeah, he's kind of got a lame quirk, honestly.
But not like Froppy. Like who can just do things a frog can.
Froppy is Froppy, and Froppy's perfect.
Yeah, the Shigaraki, that whole thing. Like, we see his backstory is like, oh yeah, guess what? He's the grandson of All Might's mentor.
Yeah,
and turns out that kind of left a bit of a scar on his dad. Because
Dad
she
did not
died.
Take it right.
Yeah, she died in the as a hero, and he basically his whole thing. We don't talk about heroes in this household, and
he feels
slapped
like
his son around a couple of times.
Yeah, because he feels like she abandoned him before she died because she gave him over to keep him safe, and he feels like, no, you abandoned me, and sets him up the whole family for we can't ever talk about heroes because he's mad at his mom.
Things go bad for Shigaraki because on top of that, his sister blamed him, basically laid the blame for him when he found the photo.
Yeah.
She found the photo and then she said it was him, and then he got upset, hugging the dog, and then accidentally his quirk manifests and he accidentally kills the dog.
Yep, and then now he's panicking.
And he accidentally kills his sister, and then the rest of his family, although.
And then Dad shows up and he goes, yeah, no, I'm just going to kill you.
Well, it's interesting.
Sort of.
I find like his voiceover indicates he wanted to do it, but I feel like the visuals will indicate that may not necessarily be the case. Because, again,
which, honestly,
All for One got a hold of him. And, well,
at that point, I think it was both. He wanted and didn't want to. He was in that point where subconsciously was losing control, just not wanting to do any of that, and was losing control of his quirk. So consciously, he didn't want to kill anyone. But on seeing his dad, there was that little bit like, this one might be okay. And that's what the narration, and then later on.
Yeah, his dad hit him again.
Yep.
And also we find out those hands he has, although there's apparently supposed to be his family.
Supposedly, yeah. Although I question some of that. I question if those are actually his family, or if that's something All for One made and just told him they were.
Also, the other thing about that is, I would say, because you're talking about, he's kind of of two minds. I'm almost like wondering if All for One, manipulated him into thinking this is what you wanted, embrace it.
Oh, I'm
'Cause, like,
absolutely certain there was at least a hint of that.
Because his voiceover says, "Oh, I want to do this," but I feel what I'm seeing is I'm like seeing a scared 5-year-old.
Oh yeah,
Who doesn't know what's going on and is just utterly terrified. And then his dad hits him. That just makes him even more scared. And then, he reacts because, regardless, he basically accidentally killed his family.
Yeah. And I think we kind of knew that. We just didn't know the details.
And,
now we get the full details of how it all happened, why it happened. Oof.
Yeah. Also, the thing we get a little bit of Himiko's backstory, which she was also abused.
Yay!
And she always basically put on a mask because everyone's talking about. Well, we see that it was in middle school. She basically drank a kid's blood through a straw.
Yep.
And people were freaked out. And it's like you guys see a whole bunch of stuff. I don't get it. She was always so quiet and nice.
God forbid women have hobbies.
But yeah, it's the quiet kid.
Yep.
It's the quiet, nice one. And everyone it's like, I did not ever think she would do something like that. Yeah, she was masking the whole time because, she once found a bird and she drank the blood from it. And her parents, flipped out on her.
Which, I mean, that's creepy.
But
you need to treat that better. But that is creepy. If a 5-year-old just came up to me and started eating a bird.
Telling her kid that you're, not to smile.
Yeah. Don't smile. You're a monster because she has the fangs and whatnot. Yeah, her parents are pieces of work.
Yeah.
Yes. I'd be freaked the heck out too if a 5-year-old just started drinking the blood of a bird in front of me, but there are better ways to handle that than what her parents did.
The thing there is, I'm saying that, which is, there's a lot in My Hero Academia about child abuse.
Yeah.
Or not just as abuse, but just children having past trauma. And like Izuku with, he was quirkless and bullied for it constantly.
By Bakugo.
By Bakugo. We see, Shoto,
and his entire family.
We see Toguri, even Shigaraki, and Himiko, and it's like we see how all these characters suffer from different degrees of abuse and how they all react and how like Izuku pulled through in a sense. I also got basically like a lifeline from All Might.
Well, also the fact that he didn't have a quirk to go south.
Yeah,
like.
Yeah, but it's just we see all that stuff, how they all, how it affected them and whatnot. It's like, it's just kind of interesting how this is almost like a recurring thing.
Yeah, we also got Shigaraki's birth name.
Yeah.
Because Tomura Shigaraki is one given to him by All for One. Shigaraki is apparently All for One's name.
Yep.
Yeah.
Tenko
Shimura was his birth name.
Yep. Yeah, the other thing about this is, he was fighting the leader of the Metal Liberation Army, who basically his whole thing is stress makes him stronger. Okay, sure. Shigaraki goes through a quirk awakening. That's a new thing.
Yeah.
So his quirk goes beyond what it used to do, and it wasn't just he had to physically touch the thing. He's like sending out a whole wave of just destruction, essentially.
And it turns out it's not just stuff that he touches, but things that are touching the thing he's touching.
Which is why Reed Destro lost his legs.
He cut his own legs off to stop it from taking the rest of him.
Yeah, because it was breaking through this armor he was wearing from his stress.
Yeah.
And this also made Gigantomachia respect Shigaraki now if we'll follow him.
Yep, because that was what the whole fight was.
Yep.
Was Jagamantia
rejects him as the new leader, as a successor of All for One.
Yep, was a follower and adored All for One. And you're like, oh, you're supposed to take after him? Heck no, I'm going to fight you first to prove it. And well, there's the proof.
Yeah.
And then after that, the leader of the Liberation Army went, yeah, you win. We're going to follow you now.
Yeah, and now they're the Paranormal
Liberation Front or something. I don't know. Yeah.
PLF. And then also the doctor is doing something to Shigaraki to make him stronger.
Yeah.
Don't know what, but apparently it's incredibly painful.
Yeah, apparently incredibly painful.
Also, it's funny. It's
almost similar to the thing we saw in the movie for last season, where he's giving that one dude doctor, All for One powers.
The thing about the doctor, the Dharma Ujiko, is funny enough, and I'm not sure if you caught this, it's the same doctor who told Izuku to give up.
Oh,
it's the exact same guy.
I wonder if that's important.
I don't know, but I know it's like I noticed that it's like it's just not with all the fancy glasses and stuff, but yeah, it's just he's one. You should just give up. That same doctor.
Oh, it would be fitting that he'd be a villain then.
Yeah. Yeah, and then that's pretty much how the season ends. I think there's something else. There was a bit with Midori at the end. I'm trying to remember what it was, but
The high, deep blue sky.
yeah. I remember what that one was, but yeah. But it's basically, yeah, we're about to go to war. Things are big, things are going down now, and the villains are moving, and that's scary. But yeah, then there was the OVAs, which they're very goofy.
They were very, very goofy.
One is about baseball, except quirk-powered baseball. Nobody won. And the two heroes, the teams, because it basically was almost like what were everyone else doing that we didn't really see during the work study stuff. Oh, they're playing baseball. Okay. Because like Gang Orca and the Lion guy, I can't remember the Lion guy's name, but yeah. They were like had a fierce baseball rivalry, and they're determined to beat each other. And like, well, because of the way they're like these quirks are, it's like eventually got to nobody wins. Each team has a single run, and they eliminated themselves.
Yeah.
Okay. That was a weird episode.
Yeah, the OVAs were just goofy.
And then the other one was the Mr. Smiley.
Mr. Smiley. That one was very goofy.
If he smiles at you, you just can't help but laugh for 2 hours. He just wanted to share his art with the world, but he got rejected from art college. Oh no.
Oh no. Oh no.
But, yeah, he just wanted to share his art with the world, and Izuku kind of came to an understanding with him, and he actually helped them stop the bad guys who were just by coincidence was robbing the place he was was graffitiing on.
Yeah, because it was jewelry.
Yeah, so he helped. So he just kind of like
his quirk is useful in cases like that because there's a hostage, and he can neutralize. He can just hit everyone. It doesn't matter if they're bad or good because it doesn't do any permanent damage. It doesn't hurt. But it will effectively neutralize people. So he can just aim it at someone holding a hostage, and it doesn't matter if you hit the hostage too.
Also, like Endeavor just was grumbling about having to deal with some just graffiti artist.
And then hits his house.
And then he's there on the wall outside his house. Now suddenly, everyone, all hands on deck. We are getting this guy.
Yep. Yep.
But yeah, it was very silly. There wasn't really much else to say about it.
Yep. They're just silly.
And then there's the movie.
The movie.
World Heroes mission, in which, they're going all around the world because the humor rise. Basically, again, still 20% of the population is still quirkless, and these people apparently, some of them, these humor rise basically a cult that sees like quirks as a disease that must be eradicated.
Yep.
And they tested it on one city where they basically, made everyone's quirks go out of control until they died, leaving only the quirkless alive.
Yep.
Well, unless they died during the process, everyone else.
Yeah, but that's just collateral damage. It's fine.
So yeah, their whole thing is they believe quirks to be a disease that must be eradicated, so humanity to remain pure.
And there's a whole thing about quirk doomsday theory.
Yeah,
where I think the summary of that one is every generation, as people with quirks have children and their quirks start combining, getting bigger. That means eventually you're going to get to a point where the humans cannot support their own quirks, and that's just going to be horrible.
Yeah.
So you have to
there's an episode in the season which kind of had a lead into this because of the one with, hey, look, it's Selkie again.
Yep.
And that kind of led right into it. There's actually the stinger at the end of the episode, which was the main villain of this movie. But so it's basically they're all around the world just fighting, taking care of these places because they know about this threat, and like, oh wait, where are all the bombs? We can't find the bombs. And then suddenly there's a whole mix up where, of course, just a low class like guy who's just taking odd jobs, including running jewelry from the thieves, and makes his case mixed up with the one from the humor eyes, and now suddenly Deku's wanted for murder.
Yep, because it turns out the police person in charge is also part of Humor Rise.
Yep, and it was the whole thing that they had. So he went with this guy, and they went and stopped the Humor Rise, and it was an okay movie, honestly.
It was okay. I mean,
there's also the whole thing about the. If I have complaints because there's a whole thing some of the Humor Rise people had quirk because there's a whole thing they get to live, but I guess no propagation for you.
Yeah.
It's one of those things
or they sort of brainwash them into thinking you're this is how you get rid of it and save yourself by helping us. Because I think there's a bit of that.
You're unclean, but you can
salvation.
Yeah, include the leader himself had a quirk.
Yep.
And there's
the entire. Oh my god, it's so. He just needed a hug, but he couldn't get one, and that's everything. Because no one could hug him.
Everything is any force put towards him is reflected. including which is like the perfect villain for someone like Izuku, because like he punches him really hard. Hey, guess what? It just gets reflected back at him.
Yep. So you just punch harder until you break through.
Yeah.
That was literally the answer.
Just hit him hard enough that eventually his quirk can't keep up.
Which, I mean...
Fair enough.
Fair enough. We've already established that. That was All Might. Just punch harder.
Just keep punching.
Just keep punching until you... Someone's going to have an upper limit somewhere. Chances are it's not going to be All Might.
Yeah, they're able to stop it. But there's a couple things about this movie. One, I feel like it just kind of... There's a long parts of just kind of...
It felt longer than it needed to be.
The other thing was, it's kind of the, I guess, just girl goofiness, like, Deku's been accused of murder. Okay, sure.
Accused for that's never gonna stick.
Another thing about it was, it kind of felt weird. I maybe me overthinking things, but like, okay, so we know the quirkless people are only 20% of the population, so minority. You know, we saw again, Izuku got bullied for being quirkless when he was younger. And we're taking that group of people, and suddenly there's a group of them who basically now suddenly have gone super, like, supremacist and now want to eradicate the rest of the world. And it just feels a little weird, like, look, this is minorities, dangerous.
Maybe.
It kind of feels weird to me, like taking a minority and suddenly making them the bad guys or something. It feels kind of weird. Extremist bad guys, which is like... The other thing about that...
Maybe.
Well, the movie was, they had this... There was this one... girl was chasing after Izuku with the bow and arrow.
Yeah.
Then she's like, "Oh, it's like, you know, I hate. I'm gonna have to do this. It's the good old the dragon, the trope. The one character who's not the big bad, but they are constantly hounding the good guys.
Oh yeah,
constant threat, and depending on how it's written, may be either is defeated at the end some way or winds up turning on the bad guy, depending on how it's written.
Right.
And she was like there for most of the movie, just, you know, constantly fighting them, and she's a big old threat, and she's got these arrows and everything, and then she just kind of unceremoniously walks off the helicopter to her death.
Yeah.
Randomly. It's like, well, that felt anticlimactic. Like, that was weird. Felt like she's going to be way more important than that.
Nope. Not at that point. She did her job, and that was it.
Bye. It's okay. Sure. It was weird. I was like,
yeah, her death was kind of odd. I don't like that one.
Yeah, it was just weird on that. I was like, eh. Also, again, there's like, why an Egyptian hero? Of course.
Oh yeah,
Egyptian
that one
is just looks like a
Salam,
an old Egyptian god, which is like, okay.
Yeah, it was that Osiris, I think, or something like that. Except he's 2D.
Yeah. Yeah, his quirk is papyrus.
Yeah, he's 2D.
Yeah. It's just kind of an odd movie. Also, a lot of the supporting cast are really relegated to support and barely.
Yep. I will say I did kind of like Rhodey as a character. Rhodey Soul.
I think it was pronounced Roddy.
Roddy, yeah.
Like Roddy Piper.
As a character,
I guess.
As a character, I did kind of like him.
Yeah, he's kind of neat.
So
his quirk was interesting because it was the bird.
It was the bird. Pino.
It's the bird. Forces basically he can't lie because the bird shows everyone what he really feels. Oh yeah, at the very beginning, they also had brand new outfits for all of 5 minutes, and then they were gone. Yep. That's like, okay.
Well, they can't keep them
because
everything has to be wrapped up by the end of the episode.
You can't keep the new cooler outfit. Because we got to go back to the old bad outfit for the rest of the series.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
yeah.
Well. But yeah, as a whole, it was... It
was all right.
It wasn't great, but it wasn't awful. But it was one of those... if I didn't watch it, I would not have really missed it, I guess. But the one thing I would say is, otherwise, though, it visually, holy crap, there were some really good looking bits in that movie.
Oh, man. Yeah. One thing I also noticed during that, there were certain sections where it's like, okay, we're doing a CG thing, and it makes sense to use CG here. And then another scene later, why are you not doing CG here? What the heck?
Right now. We're going to show off right here.
The whole helicopter scene at the end. Mm-hmm. Like, a lot of those big shots, like, this is all drawn. This is not CG.
Yeah, they're doing some pretty impressive things with in that movie, but yeah, visually but yeah.
Yeah, and the Bow villain, her name was Beros.
Yeah. Yeah, it felt so unceremonious, just like,
Yeah.
because I guess we can't have her alive, but also, I don't know. It felt like, I don't know.
I don't know.
It just, because it's so funny too, was why did she just kill herself? Because she ran out of arrows.
If she ran out of arrows, it's probably one of those, she can't be captured.
I don't know. It's just funny to me because it's like,
she's in a cult.
I know, just funny to me. It's like you have no hand-to-hand combat skills whatsoever.
Well, I mean, she was on the helicopter and it was going down.
Yeah, I don't know. Just be
you ain't gonna have much when they hit the ground.
Considering this, you'd feel like there'd be more tenacity there, And then of course, if she's in a cult, like you can't be captured. Okay, cyanide capsule. You think they'd be? It's like that would make it's a bit of a cliche, but it makes more sense for her to go down fighting harder than that.
Yeah,
I think that was my biggest thing. It's like it felt like she just kind of gave up.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, that's why I said it was really weird at that point.
Yeah. Also, it's just funny towards the end we see the police chief or captain chief, whatever he is, get arrested. And it's like, oh yeah, like you two weren't just totally on board with it until suddenly you could have found a way to, because he's being arrested by officers. I'm just like, yeah, sure, you two definitely weren't on board with it until all of a sudden you saw the tides turn.
Yeah. God.
That was a funny thing. Like they just showed up and then not real. It was like, oh, they're here for him. Wow, this is a little overboard. Did they start shooting? I start shooting.
Just open fire immediately.
Like they were just gonna violate.
Like, wow, I thought you were in a weird foreign country, not America. Suddenly.
Yeah. Otheon, which I don't think is a real country. But anyway, Jay. So as a whole, yeah, this season the first half was really just whatever. The second half, the Endeavor bit was really messy, but I think better handled than I was expecting.
Higher than expectations.
And the villain thing I thought was pretty cool, but apparently a lot of people really don't like it. Because I think apparently a lot of people just do not like the villains. Oh. And the fact that the idea of making you sympathetic towards the villains makes them upset. Oh well.
They're wrong.
I think the second half of the season was actually really solid.
I liked it. I did.
Overall. Again, there is definitely, you could argue about the Endeavor bit and whatnot, but...
Yeah, well, again, it could have been better, but it was better than what I expected, so, like...
Yeah, there was an attempt at actually nuance and whatnot. And
yeah, they made more of an attempt than a lot of other places have.
Yeah. And yeah, again, the first half was just kind of... Whatever, who cares?
It's neat, but meh.
Oh yeah, he mastered his Black Whip, and now he can use that all the time now. And
although I think it's still like he can use it properly, but I think it's still
very limited amount of time.
It's more heavily draining.
Although it's funny enough in the movie, he's using it all the time without any real issues. I was like, okay.
Yeah, again, and because
in the movie it's like, he's just Spider-Man now. Okay.
Yeah. Also, he goes 100% and uses his fists and breaks his arms again.
Of course. Yeah, no, of course, yeah. What was it? The countdown to the bombs activating. They're like 0.02 seconds left when they finally, yeah.
And then when Pino is able to finally move it up there. It's funny though. It's like, we got 1 minute. 5 minutes later, the fight's still going on and the timer's still running.
I'd have to look at because at one, they said there's 30 minutes, and I'm like, looked at the timer real quick. There's about 40 minutes left in the movie. Are they gonna actually do this in real time?
Maybe, or because it felt like the last big fight right before, the last phase of Midoriya's fight with the reflective dude felt a lot longer than a minute. And if I remember correctly, the timer hit a minute about that time.
I don't know.
So it may have started to, I don't know. I'd have to double check the actual timing, but I still feel like it was too long.
We also had perspective jumping around, which kind of makes it last
It does.
Longer. So it's like these are things that are happening at the same time, but we can't show them all at the same time.
Yeah.
You
can if you're not cowards.
The other thing we saw was the all the heroes around them when they're fighting the bomb. They're all willing to sacrifice. Like we know, we stay here, we're gonna die, but we got to do what we can to save everyone. And we saw multiple of them willing to sacrifice themselves entirely, trying to move the bombs away from the city.
Yep, get them away from the city as much as possible. And then they just kept finding more bombs.
Yep.
But I wonder if some of those were fake.
Yeah,
that would make sense.
Or it also makes sense for multiple bombs to have more coverage. It was okay. And the OVAs are just weird and goofy.
The OVAs are just silly.
I'm also I know what the next OVA is for next season, and I'm like, I'm not sure I'm going to enjoy that.
Oh.
Regardless.
Yeah.
So yeah, again, mixed bag of a season. That's why I say it's probably the worst one so far, just for the sheer stance, that thing of just the first half is just so bland. And some people might not like the second half for various reasons.
I thought it was fine. But yeah.
Regardless, I think that's it for this episode.
I got nothing else.
Yeah. So, if you like what you heard, you can listen to other episodes of New to Weeaboo.libsyn.com, spelled Libsyn, if you want to subscribe to the RSS feed there. If you want, you could also find us on various services such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and Amazon Music. You can search for New to Weeaboo on any of those and subscribe on them if you want. And, of course, you can contact us via email, newtoweeaboo@gmail.com, if you have any questions or comments or anime recommendations. And, of course, you can follow us at our various social media. They're all listed at newtoweeaboo.libsyn.com/contact if you want to do all that. So, that's it for March episodes. We'll be coming back to you in April, and we'll guess what? We are, once again, going back to My Hero Academia with Season 6.
We got to get through all of it while we
almost
can.
Done.
Almost there.
Because that's the other thing. But when we talk about that, we're the spinoff will be started airing. Vigilantes will start airing by the time we get to the next one. So that'll be interesting. Because I can't really watch that one until we get caught up on.
Can't until we're caught up and at the same point where it starts.
Then of course I have to wonder if we'll even talk about it or not. It also depends because that depends on the whole possibility how long that is in the end.
It's just as long as One Piece. Oh no.
I doubt the spin-off's going to be that long.
I don't know. Is Index still going and Railgun?
That's kind of a whole different thing. Regardless. Hope to see you then. In April will be spring by that point too.
Spring is once again upon us.
Spring will have sprung.
Yep.
So we'll see you then.
Yep.
Goodbye.
Yeah.